up for another Top Stars battle. The world champion, also as usual, one of the later ones to arrive, makes it to his board, where he will face the Iceman, Arjun Erigaisi. Always looks very disinterested in what's happening, but I'm sure on the inside he is not at all. There for the rising Indian stars. And some games are starting. I don't see them yet, but I'm sure we'll get there in a minute. I can see d4, knight f6, knight c3 on the board. The very soft opening, as I call it. But I guess we're having issues with the PGMs as we've had all tournament, frankly. But eventually, they should hopefully show up.
I mean, somehow it doesn't run so smoothly as it should,
Yeah, it's a big event, and so on and so forth. Okay, we can see the position on the board, d4, knight f6, knight c3, d5, bishop f4. And Carlsen is thinking if he's ready for the main line, which I guess is still c5, e3, cd, ed, a6, or if he wants to play it more slowly with e6 here. Other moves are
but also
well.
a6 used to be a big move, yeah?
Yeah, c5, e3, and then either cd, ed, a6, or a6 directly, no? Or you mean here?
No, I think already on move 3.
Okay.
A6 was a move. At some point it used to be the most popular one, but then some development happened and people moved away again. Yeah, it's a fashionable stuff.
Yeah. One thing you shouldn't do is knight b7, then you resign after knight b5, but probably Magnus is aware of that. And yeah, he does play a6, there you go.
Yeah, this was the hold. I think like in 2016 people were saying that okay, this knight c3 bishop f4 Joa variation is refuted by a6.
Oh, no one told me. And yeah, they're playing b5 h4 like those were the most normal moves in the world.
Exactly, I think this h4 is the new development, yeah, it's
in any position.
People are doing this. Yeah, but now the e5 square gets much more vulnerable, yeah? Maybe white can go knight fc, knight e5, okay, knight fc, bishop g4 will be played immediately. So maybe there is an argument to start with bishop e2 first, yeah, that to make sure that if knight fc, bishop g4, then we can go knight e5, because this knight on e5 could be very annoying.
Yeah, it's often the idea also of this, you're not checkmating with this, but once a knight lands on e5 now, it's much harder to shift with f6 because this square is weakened. So let's see how Arjun handles this.
Well, he goes knight f3 anyway.
He lost bishop g4, and Magnus says no thank you. Interesting.
Alright, okay, but this is some kind of an achievement for white, yeah, knight e5 and so on. Isn't this what white is playing for?
I would guess so. Guess Magnus also inviting it just to keep board full of pieces.
The big question is, how is black ever gonna castle?
d6 played, making it tough to take here because of f5 and checkmates. Once again, all these d5 ideas are appearing on the horizon.
Exactly, yeah. But as long as we have a bishop on e7, then we are covering the d6 square, yeah? So after queen d5, rook d1, queen c6, we don't have to worry about rook d6. Contrary to the previous position, yeah, this is very important.
And yeah, I think Arjun understands he's no longer better. It was knight f4, which is basically a draw for him. And it gets accepted. Yeah, there's no dead drop.
Exactly. Now bishop d1, yeah, and both sides will just sit. And
Yeah.
alright, it was a scare, but Magnus showed his class. Tremendous
Okay.
class, I mean. Missing. Knight heading towards c4, yeah, it's understandable that Black wants to block some files. Wow. But okay, let's get back